Norton.
Okay, and first question is, how do you plan to fix the economy?
Well, I plan to fix the economy with a combination of deregulation of businesses, which will free up more capital for them to invest in a business and make more goods and services and more jobs, and as well as less taxation to put more money in the pockets of normal everyday Americans who will then buy more goods and services and um, add more revenue to the business, which will then be able to create more jobs and so on in a cycle for economic growth.
Okay. Um, so what is your view on increasing student debt? How do you plan to fix that for college?
I believe that student loans should be capped at a certain amount. I don't believe that students should be just allowed to get themselves further and further into debt. I believe that we still need to offer student loans for our less advantaged population to go to college, but I do believe it should be capped at a set amount.
How do you plan to fix the housing market?
I believe less taxes on housing markets as well as the deregulation of the industry, not to the point where they're repeating practices they used um, pre-economic crash, but I think some deregulation is needed. I think a lot of punitive regulations were put on them, and I do believe that taking away some of the regulations that were just there to punish them, that weren't there to fix the situation, as well as less taxes on on the housing market.
So what about the banks? Do you want to deregulate the banks?
Banks definitely deregulate a lot of the banks. I feel like they can be trusted. I feel like they've definitely learned their lesson because last time they did this, it was bad for everybody. So I feel as if they're going to be more responsible this time. Not completely deregulate, but definitely take away some regulations, as well as um, just less taxation.
Okay. So what's your view on immigration?
Immigration, I do believe that immigration is we're too hard on immigration in this country. I believe that strict immigration laws have created the illegal immigrant problem, and I believe that looser immigration laws and making it easier to get into this country, um, which is really what America is about at its core, is anyone can come in and make a life for themselves here, and we're kind of we should be more all-encompassing than we only want Americans to stay in, because anyone who comes to America can be an American. So I think that more legal immigration is good for this country, and so I think looser immigration laws will lessen the amount of illegal immigrants and allow the immigration problem to really be fixed.
What about the children who were raised in America who are still children of illegal immigrants?
If they were born in America, they're an American citizen and thus can stay and collect benefits from our government as well as pay taxes because they're an American citizen. But if they were not born here and they're not paying taxes and then they're not citizens, then they should be deported along with the rest of their parents. Now I know that sounds very, like, oh, I don't have a heart, but I think ultimately it'll be good because once we get the illegal immigrants back to where they came from, and we loosen immigration laws, they'll be able to come back much easier. Because the reason they're here is probably because they didn't have the money for all the visas we require, and it's almost a 10-year process to get here. So once we loosen that, they'll be able to come back in much easier.
And what about the DREAM Act?
Um, I'm not in support of the DREAM Act because I feel granting amnesty is not always the best option. Maybe grant amnesty to illegal immigrants who have been here for, say, 10 years or more, but I feel like most illegal immigrants don't belong here if they're not paying taxes. Now, I do support making a clear path for illegal immigrants living here to become citizens. I think that, however, I do think they should follow the same procedures as, say, the person who the person who hops the border in Mexico should follow the same immigration laws and same immigration regulations as the person who stays in Mexico. I feel like if we offer if we offer amnesty to just absolutely everyone and make it easier for illegal immigrants to get in the country than normal immigrants, then we actually increase the amount of illegal immigration instead of decrease it.
Okay. What should the U.S. role be in the world?
I think the U.S. Has too big of a role right now. I think we don't need to be the world police force. Now, we are the strongest country, and we should be protective and devoted to our allies, but I don't think we need to be this global police for democracy. I feel like America's job, or America's role, is mostly in America right now. I feel as if we shouldn't bully other countries for not sharing our values. Um, I feel like that creates problems and creates bad situations.
What should we do about the countries affected by the Arab Springs?
The Arab Spring.
Arab Springs movement. I think it's great that other countries are starting to make a move toward democracy. I think that's obviously the best form of government, but I don't think. I think that we should definitely. I don't think we should contribute military forces. I don't think we should contribute a lot of that. I think financial aid, if anything, we have to judge whether we want to give this government financial aid or not, and eventually establish normal diplomatic relations with them. But I don't think we should directly help countries have a revolution.
So you believe that the heart of America is in at home,
I
not
think
in
yeah. I think
international.
for what we need to be right now is America needs to be focused on itself. I don't think America needs to be focused on being the world police force. I think we have a lot of problems here that we need to solve now, and we can not worry about those problems later because we do have pressing issues overseas. But I feel like we need to be focused on America.
So what about Iran?
I think Iran is directly threatening to our ally Israel, but I don't believe we should intervene militarily. I think trade sanctions are the best way to go because Ahmadinejad has expressly been anti-U.S., so he's an enemy of the United States. Iran is, but we shouldn't go to war. I think economic sanctions at this time are the best way to go, and hopefully a peaceful negotiation will occur from this. And I'm really hopeful about the situation.
So what should the U.S.'s role be in Israel?
I think Israel has been a faithful ally to us and a loyal ally over the years, and I think that needs to be rewarded. I think definitely, I'm not sure, I wouldn't be as in favor as much military aid as we're giving them right now, but I feel definitely financial aid, giving them money to support their programs. But I feel like they're a good ally of the U.S. and really something that we need to be invested in.
Okay. So what should the U.S. do about Medicare and Medicaid?
Medicare and Medicaid are vital programs. They don't need to be scrapped, but they need to be reformed. They need to be cut back and made so we're not spending as much money on it. I think that we need to incentivize um, healthcare providers with tax breaks and things like that to get their costs lower, so that it's easier for the average American to afford healthcare. And I think that Medicaid needs to be around because no one's going to watch out for the very poor in our country except for Medicaid. So I think it needs to be around, but I think we need to cut down because there's a lot of abuse in the Medicaid system. A lot of people that receive care or receive a lot of benefits that don't really need as much. I think we can definitely make cuts there without scrapping the whole system.
Okay, and what about universal health care?
No, I don't think the government should provide health care to everyone. I think the government should provide health care to those who absolutely need it. Like, the poorest of the poor absolutely need health care. Definitely Medicaid is a good program, but Medicare, I think, is a little bit bloated and I think needs to be cut back a lot, and universal health care just doesn't need to exist. I think the market will drive down costs for health care if we stop regulating it so much and taxing it so much.
Do you believe more in reform and not in completely wiping out programs?
No, 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 no. I am not for scrapping Medicare or Medicaid. I am just for reforming those programs so we're spending less money on
So
them.
you want to privatize healthcare?
Definitely privatize healthcare. I would definitely want to appeal Obamacare, as it's commonly called, because I feel like it doesn't. When the government enters healthcare, it can obviously cut costs lower than all the other healthcare providers because the government doesn't need to make a profit off that industry. It needs to make a profit off taxes. So when it undercuts all the other healthcare providers, then healthcare providers go out of business. All free market healthcare providers suddenly, all free market healthcare providers lose all their sources of revenue, and that's less jobs for the American economy, as well as we only have one government healthcare provider, which just isn't good. Competition naturally drives down costs. If the government isn't healthcare, it's just going to set the cost. It's not going to move it. So I think the fluidity of a free market healthcare system is much better for the American people than a government healthcare system.
Okay. So what's your view on marriage, like gay marriage?
Homosexual people are citizens of this country and deserve to be treated as such. There's a major injustice going on that they're not treated as equals. And not just marriage, other rights too are being stripped away. And I don't believe that's fair. I'm not for that. I believe every citizen in this country should have the exact same rights, regardless of sexual orientation, race, gender, anything. I believe that homosexual marriage should be acknowledged by the states. I believe that it looks bad on America when we don't embrace progress, when we don't embrace, not progress necessarily, but we don't change our views according to what society changes as. I think that we need to acknowledge gay marriage, and also just definitely giving gay people the same rights as straight people is just a top priority for me.
Okay. Well,
Okay,
that's all the questions.
that's all the questions we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We
Thank
hope
you.
to see you
Thank
later
you.
on.